Welcome back, Forms 5 and 6, to the second part of your Draw Like Silberzweig video. Okay, so this week we're going to be adding colour to our pictures, and I want to talk to you about the way Sandra Silberzweig uses colour, and I will show you this picture because it's quite a good example. Now, Sandra Silberzweig uses what we call harmonious colours, or the Americans call them analogous colours. I think harmonious sounds much nicer and it's much easier to say, so I'm going to use harmonious. Now, harmonious colours, I'll show you the colour wheel first. Harmonious colours are colours that are next to each other on the colour wheel. So the green, the blue-green, blue, blue-violet, these are all harmonious with each other. So we could have maybe violet, red-violet, red, reddy-orange. These are all harmonious. So any colours that are next to each other on the colour wheel are harmonious with each other. So yellow-orange, yellow, yellow-green, green. Okay, so that's pretty simple. Now, Silberzweig uses these in a particular way. I mean, we looked at how she divides the picture up into sections when we were drawing our picture. So my drawing is divided up into sections like hers is here. And if you can see, she's got all the kind of cold colours on this side of the picture. She's got her blues and her purples. So she's taken kind of this palette here, the purples and different shades of blues, these colours here, and she's used them in this side of the picture. And on this side of the picture, she's used what we would call the warm colours, so the opposite side of the colour wheel, these harmonious colours, the yellows, the oranges and the reds. So she's organised those together. And you can see how some of the colours kind of blend into each other and they overlap. So she does some blending of colours as well. So here at the top, she's used this part of the colour wheel, the pinks and the blues and the purples together. So there. So she's used these colours, which are harmonious with each other. You see? So that's what I want you to do. Where you've sectioned your paper off, your drawing off, where you sectioned it, I want you to think about now, which side of the colour wheel are you going to use? Are you going to use this kind of palette, the yellows and the greens? Are you going to go for greens and blues? Are you going to go for blues and purples, purples and reds, reds, oranges and yellows? So any of those palettes you can use. So you need to make some decisions about how you're going to organise your colours. So your learning objective is to use harmonious colours in your pictures, but to not use them randomly, to organise them effectively. So if I use, for example, if I use oranges and yellows in this section here, in this section above, it will look really good if you use maybe colours from the opposite side of the colour wheel. So if I've got this section in this kind of palette here. To make that side of the face look very separate from this, the forehead very separate from the cheek, I'm not going to continue that warm palette. I'm going to pick something on the opposite side of the palette, so maybe blues and pinks there, to make those sections look very separate. Okay. If I want something to stand out, for example, I might paint a colour in the background in blues and pinks and purples. If I want those to stand out, the little fish, I might inject just one colour from the opposite side of the colour wheel. So if that's pinks and purples, I might do those fish in yellow, for example. But we can talk about that a little bit later. Okay, so I'm going to do this in mixed media today. You can use whichever media works best for you, or whichever media you've got available to you. I'm going to use a mixture of these pastel pencils, and they're nice and big and chunky, and are good for doing the larger areas, but not so good for doing small details. So any small details that I might want to do, these tiny little flowers, I'm going to use pencil crayon. So you don't have to stick to one media. You can use whichever media works best for you. So I'm going to use pastels and pencil crayons in my picture. So you can see here and here where I've blended colours together. The yellow has merged gradually into the orange, and here the yellow has merged gradually into the limey green, into the slightly dark green, and then the green becomes blue, and blue becomes a darker blue, and it merges into purple, and the purple merges into pink, and pink into red, and then into orange. Well, you might be saying, well, that's all well and good, Miss Smith, but you're using pastels, and it's really easy to blend colours with pastels by rubbing them, and that is absolutely correct. But you might be using pencil crayons, and you might be saying to me, well, I can't do that because I've got pencil crayons. Well, actually, you can do that with pencil crayons, and I'm going to show you how to do that now. So I'll just get rid of that for a second. And I've got a new piece of paper here. Now, because we're using harmonious colours, they actually will blend into each other really easily, even using pencil crayon. So I'll show you how that works. So if I start off with yellow, now I'm going to press on quite hard because I know yellow is not particularly easy to see. And then I bring that forward like that. And then I'm going to start my orange yellow. I'll sort it out. I'm going to start my orange yellow here. And then I'm going to bring that over the top of the lighter yellow slightly. And can you see the two eventually start to merge together? And then I bring the darker orange yellow a bit further forward. And then I can do that again with a brighter orange. So I can start here and then bring it towards the orange yellow, and then overlap it. Can you see where it overlaps? This is not my best shading. There are lots of white gaps, but that doesn't matter for the minute. So can you see where that overlaps? So you can see the colours blending together. And it's actually quite easy to do. It'd be harder to do that if the colours weren't harmonious colours. If they weren't next to each other, you would get a line where the two colours meet together. But because the colours are harmonious, you don't get that line. So you're just merging them together. And then next I'll do a red. So the red, can you see I start kind of further away from the orange, move towards the orange like that. And can you see how the colours, the harmonious colours work through together? And that is how you blend colours with pencil crayon. So I gave you the learning objective of using harmonious colours, but not just using them, organising them effectively. Now what I mean by that is, can you see where I've used the orange here? Now I've used a green here. If I'd used oranges and reds and yellows here next to the oranges here, what do you think would have happened? So what would have happened had I done that is that it would have made it would have kind of made the face look distorted, because it would have made the hair and the face merge into one shape. You wouldn't have been able to see the difference between the face, where the face is and where the hair is. And this is what I mean by organizing your colors effectively. So thinking about it in terms of the color wheel, so when you're placing things, colors next to each other, so if you look at my color wheel again, sorry, so I've got my orange and my green. Look where the orange is and look where the green is on the color wheel. They're far away from each other, aren't they, on the color wheel? So if colors are far away from each other, they will contrast beautifully, and it will really make the colors stand out. So you don't want colors to merge together. So I've got to think about the colors carefully before I actually start doing my drawing. Even though these colors are on the colder side of my color wheel here, but here I've got blue and here I've got kind of pink and red. And if you look at the blue, where the blue is on your color wheel, the blue is here and the red is here. So that is why that works. So that still works really well, because I've got the red and the blue, they're opposite each other. So if I want to start doing the trees in this section here, now I've got kind of the yellowy green here, so I need to think about what colour is going to work really well on this tree, these trees that are near these like limey green colours. Well, if I go across my colour wheel, so if I go across my colour wheel, so I can see that the reds and the pinks will work really well. So if I do some reds and pinks with these trees here, I'll get that really vibrating contrast in colour. Okay, so you're getting to the point now where I've done most of the large areas and I'm having to lean my hand on top of the pastel to get to these smaller areas with my pencil crayons. Now, if you're using pastels, a good thing to do is to spray your picture at this point with hairspray, because that works as a fixative for your pastels and it will stop it from rubbing onto other areas of the picture, and it will stop it from coming off. Excuse me, it will stop it from coming off on your hands as well. Okay, so just give it a quick spray with some hairspray. Okay, so that's the colour part of this lesson. Next lesson will be to add the definition, to go over the detail that now has been muted by the colour. We want that detail to come back, and we also need to start adding some of that visual texture. Remember when we talked about visual textures? I haven't added any visual texture in yet because that goes on top of the colour.